Eli Mercer was fixing a food dispenser when the galaxy decided he was important. He was halfway inside the open maintenance panel, one boot sticking out into the corridor of docking ring 7, when the machine made a sad, defeated whirring sound and spat a single cube of something that might once have been chicken. Eli stared at it. "Yeah?" he muttered, wiping grease on his sleeve. "You tried." That's what counts. Docking Ring 7 smelled like metal, fuel, and too many different alien atmospheres mixing together. Ships from a dozen species came through every day. Traders shouted. Cargo drones floated past. Station security officers walked in pairs, pretending everything was under control. Eli liked it that way. Busy, loud, normal. He slid the panel back into place and gave the dispenser a gentle pat. "Don't embarrass me again." When he turned around, the corridor had gone quiet. Not empty. Quiet. A small crowd had formed a few meters away. Humans. A tall, blue-skinned Jakari, a squat rock-like Vern. All of them were staring at the same two figures standing in the middle of the walkway. They looked almost human. Almost. They were the same height, a little taller than Eli. Slim, pale silver skin that seemed to shimmer softly under the station lights. Long white hair fell down their backs in perfect straight lines. Their eyes were large and faintly glowing like starlight behind glass. They wore matching dark suits with thin lines of soft blue light running along the seams. No weapons. No visible tech. Identical faces. Identical posture. Twins. Eli felt a prickle run up his spine. He didn't know much about alien species, but he knew enough to recognize Aelith when he saw them. Everyone did. Psychic. Advanced. United. Powerful. And currently standing in front of a broken food dispenser. Eli said softly.
"You ladies lost?" Several people in the crowd gasped.
The twins turned their heads toward him at exactly the same time. Their eyes locked onto his. It felt like being examined by something that could see more than skin and bones. Like they were looking at the space inside his skull and finding something strange there. They stepped forward together. 1 step. 2. They stopped right in front of him, so close he could see faint patterns moving under their silver skin, like slow light under water. When they spoke, their voices came at the same time, perfectly synchronized. Eli blinked.
"I'm sorry," he said. "I think you've got the wrong human. Around them, the..." Silence shattered.
Station security officers pushed through the crowd, hands near their stunners. A human diplomat in a dark jacket came running, out of breath. Overhead, drones shifted position, lenses focusing. The twins did not look away from Eli. "You belong to us now," they repeated calmly. "I really don't," Eli said. "I belong to Maintenance Shift C, and sometimes to the coffee machine on level 4, but that's a mutual relationship." "Step back from the human," one of the security officers shouted. The twins did not move. The officer raised his stunner. "Aelith envoys, you are causing a diplomatic." One of the twins, the one standing on the left, tilted her head slightly. The lights in the corridor went out. Not flickering, not dimming, off. Every screen, every drone, every sign, the distant hum of machinery vanished. The air recyclers went silent. The only light left came from the faint glow of the twins' eyes and the emergency strips along the floor. Someone screamed. Eli looked around, heart hammering. "Okay, that's new. That's very new." His wrist pad was still on. He glanced down, still glowing, still working. He looked back at the twins. They were watching him with something like curiosity. Behind him, the food dispenser gave a cheerful beep and dropped another cube. Everything else on the station was dead. Everything near Eli was not. You didn't shut down the station, Eli said slowly. No, said both twins together. We shut down what was not you. Eli opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again.
I feel like that sentence should mean less than it does.
The human diplomat stepped forward carefully, hands raised.
Alith representatives, please.
This is a neutral trade station. If there is a misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding, said the twin on the right. We have found him. Found me for what? Eli asked. I fix things that other people kick. The twins studied him for another long moment. You are coming with us, they said. Can I say no? They paused. Yes, said the left twin. It would not change the outcome, said the right.
Ah, Eli nodded. One of those choices. The diplomat swallowed.
You can't just take a citizen of the Terran Union. We can, said both twins gently. Because if we do not, many of your citizens will soon stop belonging to themselves. That landed like a stone in Eli's stomach. Okay, he said quietly. That sounds bad. That sounds very bad. He looked at the crowd, dozens of faces staring at him like he'd suddenly grown a second head. I just came down here to fix a chicken dispenser, he said. I didn't plan for galactic importance today. The twin on the left stepped aside and gestured down the corridor. Our vessel is waiting. Eli hesitated only a second. Then he sighed. If I die, I'm haunting that dispenser. He walked with them. As soon as he stepped forward, the emergency lights brightened slightly around him, like the station itself was paying attention to where he was. Behind him, systems remained dark. They moved through docking ring 7, past frozen cargo drones and silent kiosks. People pressed themselves against the walls to let them pass. No one tried to stop them. At the far end of the ring, a sleek silver ship sat in the docking cradle. It had no visible seams, no markings, just a smooth, curved surface that reflected the station lights like liquid metal. The ramp extended as they approached. Eli stopped at the base. Before I get on the mysterious psychic alien ship, I'd just like to say I have no combat skills, no secret training, and I once fainted during a dental procedure.
That is acceptable, said one twin. You are not required to be strong,
said the other. Great, Eli muttered. I'll just be me, then. That's all I've got. He stepped onto the ramp. The moment he crossed the threshold, a soft sensation brushed against his mind. Not a voice, not words, just presence, like standing near a crowd you couldn't see. He flinched. The twins stopped and turned. You feel us, one said. Yeah, Eli said. Like background noise in my brain. No offense. They exchanged a glance. Fascinating, they whispered together. Inside, the ship was bright and open. Curved walls, soft blue light, no visible controls. The air smelled clean, almost sweet. Eli looked around. You know, I was expecting more blinking panels. We do not require them, one twin said. Lucky you, Eli said. I make a living because humans press the wrong buttons. They guided him into a circular room with a low platform in the center. The walls shimmered with moving patterns, like distant stars. Please stand, said the right twin. Is this the part where I explode? Eli asked. No, said the left twin. This is the part where we listen. To what? To the quiet. Eli stepped onto the platform. The twins approached, one on each side. They raised their hands and gently touched 2 fingers to his temples. The presence in his head grew stronger for a second. Then, it vanished. The room felt suddenly, deeply still. The twins inhaled sharply at the same time. There, Their glowing eyes widened. "This is it," one breathed. "A mind without signal," said the other. Eli looked between them.
I feel like you're talking about me like I'm a broken radio. You are not broken, the left twin said softly. You are
"Silent. We have never experienced this," said the right. "Not in any species." "Congratulations," Eli offered. They lowered their hands slowly, as if afraid the moment would disappear. "In our minds," the left twin said, "there is always connection. Thoughts, emotions, the presence of others." "Always," said the right. "From birth to death." Eli rubbed his temples. "That sounds exhausting." They both focused on him again. "When we touch your mind," one said, "there is no noise." "No echo," said the other. "Only stillness." Eli gave a weak smile. "Yeah, that tracks. My teachers said similar things."
The twins did not understand the joke, but they looked at him with something new now.
Not authority, not certainty. Wonder. Outside the ship, unseen by Eli, docking ring 7 flickered back to life. Lights returned, screens rebooted. The hum of the station filled the air again. People looked around in confusion, unsure what had just happened. Inside the Aleph vessel, the ramp closed. Ella said as the floor vibrated gently under his feet. "That feels like movement. I did not agree to movement." "We are leaving," the twins said together. "Right now?" "Yes." Eli took a deep breath.
Okay, sure.
"Fine. Casual. Interstellar kidnapping. Normal day."
He looked at them.
"You still haven't told me your names." They paused, as if remembering something very small but important. "I am Lyra," said the one on the left. "I am Sira," said the one on the right. "Eli," he said. "Professional chicken cube technician." Lyra tilted her head. "Eli." Sira watched his face closely. "Ellie." Somewhere deep in the ship, a low hum built into a rising tone. "Last chance," Ellie said. "You sure you don't want, I don't know, a soldier? A scientist? A motivational speaker?" Lyra's voice was gentle. "No." Sira's eyes glowed a little brighter. "We need a human." The hum turned into a sudden, silent lurch that made Eli's stomach drop. The stars outside the curved wall stretched into lines of light, and for the first time in his very ordinary life, Eli Mercer left his solar system, because 2 alien twins had looked into his mind and found something the rest of the galaxy didn't have. Nothing at all. The ship did not feel like it was moving, but Eli's stomach strongly disagreed. One moment there had been stars outside the curved wall. The next, there was a river of white light stretching in every direction, like the universe had turned into long, glowing threads. Eli gripped the edge of a nearby surface. "I would like to file a complaint with physics." Lyra watched him with open curiosity. Sira tilted her head slightly, studying the tightness in his jaw and the way his fingers dug into the smooth material.
Your body is distressed, Sira said. My body thinks we just broke reality, Eli replied.
"Bah, it's not wrong. You are safe," Lyra said. "This is transition through fold space." "Of course it is," Eli muttered. Why wouldn't space fold? Totally normal behavior for space. They guided him to a curved seat that seemed to grow out of the floor when he got close. He sat carefully. The feeling of motion faded after a few minutes, leaving only a faint hum in the air. Eli let out a slow breath. "Okay, still alive." "That's a good start." Lyra and Sira stood across from him, hands folded in front of them in the same relaxed pose. Now that the panic had faded, Eli noticed something strange. They were not speaking to each other. Not out loud, but there was a subtle rhythm to their expressions, tiny shifts that matched too perfectly to be coincidence. "You two are talking right now, aren't you?" Eli asked.
Yes, they said together. About me? Yes. Rude.
"You are not offended." "I am a little offended," Eli said, "but mostly curious and slightly terrified." Lyra stepped closer. "Eli, we must explain why you were chosen." "Please do," he said. "Because right now my best theory is cosmic clerical error." Sira made a small movement with her hand. The air in front of them shimmered, and a three-dimensional image appeared. It showed stars, lines connecting them, clusters of lights in different colors. "The galaxy," Lyra said. Eli leaned forward. "That is, a lot bigger than the station map." Sira pointed to a cluster of bright blue stars. "This is Aelith space." Then she pointed to a spreading red region on the other side of the image. "This is the Valkyrie Dominion." Even without knowing anything, Eli didn't like the way the red area looked. It spread in jagged lines, like cracks in glass.
"They are expanding," Lyra said. "They do not conquer with ships first."
"They conquer with minds." Sira moved her hand. The image zoomed in on a single star system. Small lights representing planets glowed peacefully. Then a red wave passed over them. The lights changed color. "All sentient life in that system is now under Valkyrie control," Sira said. "They do not ask. They do not negotiate. They overwrite," Lyra added quietly.
Eli swallowed.
"You mean mind control?" "Yes," they said together.
He leaned back in his seat.
Okay.
That's very bad."
"That's end of free will bad. They have done this to hundreds of worlds," Lyra said.
"Including Aelith colonies." Sira's voice lowered slightly. "We are a psychic species. Our minds are always open to one another. This makes us strong, but also vulnerable. Valkyrie signals move through us like storms."
Eli looked at the star map again.
"So you're losing?" "Yes," Lyra said simply. Silence sat between them for a moment. "Where do humans come in?" Eli asked. Sira changed the image. Now it showed a small convoy of ships with a Terran Union symbol. "A human colony transport," she said. "3 of your months ago. A red wave hit the convoy. Nothing happened. The ships kept moving."
Eli blinked.
"That's it? That's the big mystery? Our brains are too stubborn to listen?" Lyra stepped closer, eyes glowing brighter. "We observed from a distance." Valkyrie signals struck again. Stronger. Focused. The image showed the red wave intensifying. Still nothing. "No human minds responded," Sira said. "No fear spikes, no submission patterns, no signal absorption."
We thought our instruments were wrong, Lyra said.
So we came closer. The image zoomed to one ship. Inside, tiny life signs moved around normally.
You were arguing about food rations? Sierra said.
Eli sighed. "That sounds like us." Lyra dismissed the image with a gesture. "We searched your information networks. We studied human neurology. Your brains produce unusually high levels of internal signal noise."
Eli pointed at himself. I have been saying that for years. For us, Sierra said, your thoughts are
disordered, individual, layered, contradictory. "Thanks," Eli said. Lyra's expression softened.
Velkari control depends on clear pathways, unified emotional channels, predictable responses.
Sira finished the thought.
Human minds are none of those things.
Eli sat very still.
So,
We're immune because we're messy? Yes, they said together. He let out a short laugh.
that might be the most human victory in history.
Lyra's gaze grew more intense.
But you are different even among humans.
Eli pointed at his chest. Please don't say that. I've built my whole personality around being average. When we scanned human neural patterns, Sira said, we found resistance. But when we touched your mind, Lyra stepped closer again, slowly, like approaching something fragile. There was silence. Eli looked at the floor.
I mean, I do zone out a lot.
It is more than that, Sira said. Your mind does not just resist psychic signals. It dampens them, absorbs them. Around you, our own mental link grows quiet.
Ellie looked up sharply. Wait, I'm interfering with your
Connection?
Yes, Lyra said. Standing near you is the first time in our lives we have experienced true mental privacy.
Sira placed a hand lightly over her chest. It is peaceful.
Eli's voice softened. You've never been alone in your own head?
Never, they said together. He tried to imagine that. Every thought shared, every fear visible. No secrets, no silence.
Okay, he said gently. Okay, he said gently. Baz?
That sounds kind of awful.
They both gave him a look of mild confusion.
It is normal, Lyra said.
Yeah, Eli said. So was living in caves once. Doesn't mean we should go back.
For a moment, neither twin spoke.
Then, Sira said quietly, Ellie, the Velkari are preparing a major offensive against our central worlds, Lyra continued. If they succeed, billions of Aelith will lose themselves. Their bodies will live.
Their minds will not be their own. Eli felt a chill run through him.
And do you think I can stop that? We think you can stand where their signal is strongest, Sira said, and make it weaker. Maybe weak enough, Lyra added, for us to fight back with ships and weapons, not just thoughts. Eli stared at his hands, grease still under his nails, a small burn on one finger from a faulty wire 2 days ago. I fix machines, he said quietly.
I am not a hero.
Lyra stepped closer. Heroes are rare. Useful people are not. Sira nodded. You are useful in a way the galaxy has never seen. Eli looked up at them. Do I get a choice? They did not answer right away. Finally, Lyra said, yes. Sira added softly, but if you refuse, we will still try to fight, and many will fall.
Eli closed his eyes for a moment.
He thought about Earth. Rain on city streets, the sound of traffic, his sister sending him dumb messages at 3 a.m, coffee that tasted like dirt but kept you alive anyway. All right, he said at last.
I'll help, but I want one thing clear.
They waited. I'm not property, he said.
Not yours. Not anyone's. Lyra placed a hand over her chest.
In our language, the phrase we used does not mean ownership. Sira mirrored the gesture. It means chosen bond, mutual protection.
Eli opened one eye. You might want to workshop the translation.
They both tilted their heads.
Workshop? Later, he said. Save the galaxy first.
Language lessons after. A soft tone echoed through the room. We are arriving at the outer defense line. Lyra said. The wall shifted from glowing patterns to a view of space again. This time it was full of ships. Huge Aelith vessels floated in formation, elegant and curved like living things. Smaller craft moved between them in tight, careful paths. In the distance, faint flashes of light marked weapons fire. Eli's mouth went dry.
That looks like a war. It is, Sira said, and you're bringing the maintenance guy to the front line. You are not just maintenance, Lyra said gently.
Eli watched as one distant ship flared bright, then went dark. He swallowed.
Okay. No pressure.
The ship began to descend toward a massive structure at the center of the fleet. It looked like a giant ring made of silver crystal, energy flowing along its surface in slow waves.
A command nexus, Sira said. Home of our fleet mind,
Lyra added. Eli glanced at her. Fleet mind? All Aelith ships and crews are linked, she said, sharing awareness, strategy, emotion.
And the Velkari can get into that?
He asked. Yes, Sira said. That is why we need you. The ship docked smoothly inside the ring structure. As the ramp extended, Eli felt that strange mental pressure again, like standing near a crowd he couldn't see. Only this time, it felt strained, tense, afraid. Lyra and Sira stepped closer to him, almost unconsciously. The noise is loud here, Lyra said softly.
Eli took a breath and walked down the ramp between them.
With every step, the invisible pressure in the air seemed to fade slightly. Olive personnel in flowing uniforms turned to look at him as he passed. Their glowing eyes widened. Some staggered slightly, like they'd just walked into a quiet room after a loud concert. Sira exhaled slowly. It spreads already. Eli looked around at the alien faces, at the ships beyond the transparent walls, at distant flashes of battle.
Okay, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. So where do you want me to stand?
Lyra gave him a small, hopeful smile. At the center of everything, the chamber at the center of the Aelith Command Nexus was shaped like a sphere, with a wide circular platform in the middle, and curved walls made of clear crystal. Beyond the walls, space burned with distant weapons fire. Ships moved like slow, glowing fish in a dark ocean. Eli stood very still on the platform. Lyra and Sira stood close on either side of him, not touching, but near enough that their shoulders almost brushed his arms. Around the edges of the chamber, dozens of Aelith commanders formed a ring. Their eyes glowed brighter than before, their faces tight with focus and strain. Above them, a web of pale light stretched through the air, lines crossing and reconnecting like a living network. "That is your fleet mind?" Eli asked quietly.
Yes, Lyra said.
Every ship, every crew, every thought linked through this nexus.
It feels loud, Sira added, her voice thinner than usual. Eli nodded. I don't hear it, but I kind of feel it, like pressure before a storm.
"That storm is already here," one of the commanders said. His voice trembled slightly, though his posture stayed straight. "Velkari psychic waves are building again." As if to prove the point, a low vibration passed through the floor. The web of light above them flickered, some lines turning red for a moment before stabilizing. Eli swallowed.
"And when that hits, what happens?"
Lyra didn't look away from the glowing web.
Fear, confusion. Then obedience that is not chosen. "Ships will stop responding to our own orders," Sira said. "They will follow Velkari commands instead." Eli rubbed his hands together. "Okay? So I just stand here and be mentally annoying?" Several Aleph looked at him confused. Lyra gave a faint smile. "Yes, that is a good summary. Finally," Eli muttered. A job I'm fully qualified for. A sudden sharp tone echoed through the chamber. One of the commanders stiffened.
They are focusing on this sector, he said. Signal intensity rising fast. The web of light overhead pulsed red.
Lyra turned to Eli. Stay calm. Do not try to do anything. Just be.
I've been training my whole life for that, Eli said weakly. Then it hit. Eli didn't hear a sound, but his vision blurred for a second, like heat rising from pavement. A wave of pressure rolled through the room. Around the platform, several Aelith gasped and grabbed their heads. The glowing web overhead flared bright red, lines snapping and reforming wildly. Sira staggered, her hand flying to her temple. It is stronger than before! Lyra's breathing quickened. Hold the link. Eli felt something strange, like cold wind passing through his skull. Not pain, just a sensation of something trying to move through him and finding no door. The pressure kept coming. Around the room, more Aelith dropped to one knee. A few cried out, voices breaking as emotions that weren't theirs flooded in. Eli looked at Lyra. Her jaw was clenched, eyes squeezed shut.
Hey, he said. Focus on me.
You're doing great. Deep breaths.
In through the nose, out through the... Okay, you don't have noses like ours, but you get the idea.
She let out a shaky breath. The invisible pressure around Eli thickened for a moment, then changed. It felt like the wave had reached him and thinned, like water hitting a wall of sand and soaking in instead of crashing through. The air in the chamber seemed to settle. One by one, Aelith lifted their heads. The red in the web of light faded to orange, then yellow. Sira opened her eyes, slowly. She looked at Eli in shock. It is weakening. A commander across the room straightened, signal strength dropping across the entire nexus.
Lyra stared at Eli, wonder clear on her face.
You are absorbing it. I am doing absolutely nothing, Ellie said, which, for once, is very helpful. Another tremor passed through the station, but this time it was weaker. The web above flickered, then steadied into a soft blue glow. Reports began flooding in from the commanders. Ship mines stabilizing! Velkari intrusion patterns disrupted! Multiple vessels regaining independent control! Eli let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. So, good news? Yes, Sira said, voice full of amazement. For the first time, their psychic assault is failing. On the far wall, a section of crystal shifted, showing a magnified view of the battlefield. A massive Velkari ship, jagged and dark, drifted between Aelith cruisers. Usually, Aelith ships would have broken formation under psychic attack. This time, they moved together.
Precise.
Coordinated. One Aelith cruiser rolled aside to avoid a blast, while another slid into position and fired a focused beam into the Velkari ship's exposed flank. The enemy vessel exploded in silent light. Cheers rippled through the chamber, not loud, but intense, shared relief moving through the Aelith like a warm current.
They are fighting with clear minds, Lyra whispered.
Eli watched the battle with wide eyes.
Okay, that's a lot of explosions. I prefer fixing lunch machines.
A new alarm tone cut through the moment. Velkari High Command has identified the anomaly, a commander said urgently. Multiple signal sources are converging on this nexus. Lyra's expression hardened. They will try to overwhelm us with one massive strike.
Sira looked at Eli.
Stronger than before. Focused only here. Eli swallowed.
How strong are we talking?
The commander hesitated. Enough to break every mind in this station. Instantly, Eli nodded slowly. Cool.
Cool. Lyra stepped closer to him.
You do not have to stay. Eli looked around the chamber at the Aleph who were watching him with a mix of fear and hope.
Yeah,
He said softly.
Bathe of bows would bathe of go.
I do. He planted his feet more firmly on the platform. Time to be aggressively unhelpful. The next wave hit like a silent explosion. Several Aleph cried out. The web of light overhead went blood red, lines twisting violently. Cracks of energy crawled across the chamber walls. Eli's knees buckled, but he didn't fall. It felt like standing in a hurricane made of thoughts that weren't his. Rage, hunger, command, submit, obey, kneel. The feelings slammed into him and dissolved into nothing, like sparks hitting water. He gritted his teeth.
Nope, not today.
Around him, the pressure shifted again. The violent red in the web began to fade, not all at once, but in waves that started at the platform and moved outward. Sira, still on her feet now, reached toward the web with both hands. We are pushing back. Lyra mirrored her, eyes blazing. Fleet, advance! On the battlefield view, Aelith's ships surged forward in perfect formation. Without psychic interference, their movements were sharp and precise. Velkhari vessels wavered, their coordination breaking. Some turned too slowly, others fired too late. They are not used to thinking alone, Eli muttered through clenched teeth.
Welcome to the human experience.
A blast rocked the station. A distant section of the crystal ring shattered, venting atmosphere into space.
Alarms wailed. Structural damage on outer segments, a commander shouted.
Lyra didn't look away from the battle. Hold formation. Protect the Nexus. Eli's vision blurred again, but he stayed upright. The psychic storm kept pouring into him, and he felt tired, like he hadn't slept in days. Lyra, he said through dry lips. If I pass out, does this stop working? Her eyes flicked to him, worried. We do not know. Great. Love a good scientific mystery. Sira stepped closer and placed a hand lightly on his arm. Stay with us, Eli. He nodded, trying. On the wall, the largest Velkhari ship yet came into view. It was enormous, covered in sharp spines and glowing red lines. Smaller ships clustered around it like insects.
Velkhari command vessel, a commander breathed.
Even Eli, who knew nothing about warships, could tell it was important. Lyra's voice was steady. All fleets target that ship. End this. Beams of light lanced across space from dozens of Aleph vessels. Explosions blossomed against the command ship's shields. At the same time, the psychic pressure spiked again. Wild, desperate.
Eli gasped, vision going white at the edges.
They are pouring everything into one last signal, Sira said, her voice shaking. Eli forced a grin.
Yeah? I've got one last headache to match.
He focused on breathing. In, out, in, out. The pressure hit its peak. Then cracked. Not shattered, not vanished, cracked, like ice breaking under sunlight. Across the chamber, Aleph straightened as if a weight had lifted from their shoulders.
Their signal is collapsing,
a commander shouted. On the battlefield, the Velkhari command ship's shields flickered and failed. Aleph beams punched through its hull. For a moment, it glowed brighter than a star. Then it tore itself apart. Silence filled the chamber. The red in the web of light faded completely, returning to calm blue. Eli swayed. Lyra and Sira caught him before he hit the floor.
Did we
When? He mumbled. Lyra smiled down at him, relief and awe shining in her eyes. This battle, yes. Sira nodded. Because of you, our minds are still our own. Eli gave a weak thumbs up.
Cool! Wake me up when the galaxy needs more doing nothing.
His eyes closed, and this time, he let the darkness take him.